people don't realize this, but between 2026 and 2027, the EC resale market will hit an unprecedented drought. No new EC will become eligible for resale in the next 2 years straight. In other words, we will see a serious supply crunch on the newly MOP EC. If you're an existing EC owner or HDB upgraders with a budget constraint, this could be your best chance in a decade to make your move. In this video, I'll break down exactly why and how you can position yourself to benefit, because only by understanding the whole story can you make the best decision. So make sure you watch till the very end. Let's go! First of all, this video is meant for people who are looking to get a property that can fulfill both own stay plus capital appreciation aspect, particularly in the resale EC segment. If you belong to this group, you definitely want to stick around because you need to know what happened in 2016, 2017 and 2018 and what eventually led to this sticky predicament. Let's look at this chronologically because those 3 years mark a dramatic shift in the executive condo market in Singapore. 2016, I call it the year of oversupply. Why? 2016 was the bumper year for EC launches. There were a total of 5 projects launched within 12 months. Developers rushed to launch this EC because many sites were sold in a land tender in 2014 and 2015 when EC demand was super strong. And there are 3 reasons why ECs are so highly sought after. Number 1, no need to pay ABSD when you buy first and sell your HDB later. Number 2, up to $30,000 in CPF housing grant for eligible buyers. Number 3, prices are usually 20 to 30% cheaper than regular private condos. However, the huge supply led to glut fears, with about 16 EC projects concurrently marketing units in the late 2016. What? 16 EC projects? How come? There were a total of 11 EC projects launched between 2013 and 2014 that did not achieve 100% sales by the time they get their TOP in 2016. In fact, UR data show that unsold EC inventory peaking at over 4,000 unsold EC units at one point. This was actually a well-known situation back then because the EC income ceiling was raised from $12,000 to $14,000 only in August 2015, which helped the later demand. But it was too late for the earlier buyers. Plus the cooling measure on MSR tightening, TDSR in 2013, which greatly reduced the buyer's borrowing power. And to make things worse, there were simply too many EC launches back to back, so the pool of eligible buyers was quickly saturated. With this massive amount of unsold EC units coming from TOP projects, it created intense competition directly with all the new EC launches. So if you were buyer back in 2016, you'll be seeing many ready to move in EC units and many under construction new EC options. Obviously, you're going to feel the perception of oversupply and future resale pressure. In short, close to 11 EC were not fully sold by the time they got TOP in 2016. Those EC that launched in 2013 and 2014, they faced cooling measure and buyer fatigues. By TOP, thousands of units were still unsold. Developers had no choice but to continue marketing them while the next 5 new EC were being launched. This flooded the EC market, creating oversupply fear and heavy competition, which resulted in the subsequent EC project struggling to attract new buyers. Because the earlier one was still clearing stock with discounts and promotions, the situation persisted till 2017, which I call the year of pullback. This was all due to the oversupply in 2016. Developers had to stop launching more new ECs. Yes, you heard me. Developers paused new EC launches because there was a glut in 2016. At the same time, the government also drastically cut back on EC land supplies to let the market digest the excessive inventory. As a result, there were 0 new EC launches in the whole of 2017. Essentially, this pause forced all the buyers to pick from the unsold inventory before fresh supplies come in, which also led to EC prices stabilizing as the market digested the large oversupply hang. It's simple, 2017, no new EC launches. If you want to buy something, check out the existing EC projects. At this point, both the consumers and developers are equally fearful. Everyone is acting cautiously. Because in 2017, nothing was launched. All the remaining units were gradually being absorbed by the market. That's why in 2018, when the only one new EC was launched, River Coast Residences at Anchorville Lane, it sold 80% of the units on the first weekend as pent-up demand met limited supply. The strong take-up rate showed buyers were still interested if the location and pricing were right. And the sales number also signaled that the EC glut was over. From there, developers and the government regained confidence, but they still remain cautious. Subsequently, only 1 to 2 new EC sites were awarded each year because they do not want to put themselves in the same predicament again. Slowly, EC land tenders resumed, but the pipelines was already delayed by 2 to 3 years. Projects like Pyrmont Grange, Park Canberra, and Ola was launched, but their TOPs and MOP will only come into the market much later. Because of the lag between land sales, construction, and MOP, the slowdown in 2017 and 2018 created a void in supply exactly between 2026 and 2027. In summary, this supply drought is a direct consequence of the oversupply shock in 2016, the land supply pause in 2017 and 2018, and then the long lead time to TOP and MOP. And here's how the upcoming supply will look like. In 2015, only one EC project, River Cove Residences, will hit MOP. But after that, from 2026 to 2027, there are virtually no new ECs entering the resale market. The next big batch will only come in 2028 and 2029, when projects like Pyrmont Grange, Park Canberra, and Ola reaches MOP. So for almost 2 years, if you're looking for a young, brand new resale EC, you will have a very limited options to choose from. Before we continue, make sure to tap the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing timely updates as the market evolves, especially in the resale market, so you'll always stay informed and be ahead of the curve as a savvy property investor. Thanks in advance. Let's get back to the video. Now you have learned what happened back then. Next, what's the implication and what can you do as a seller and a buyer? First, I'll address this from the seller's point of view. Today, if you're an EC owner from Soul Acres, Inns Residences, Northway EC that reaches MOP in 2025 or maybe MOP long time ago, you are in an extremely strong position. Why do I say so? Because you will be one of the few new EC on the market. There's no other new MOP EC entering the resale market in 2025 to 2027. What does it mean for you as a seller? You have lesser competition and a stronger pricing power because HDB upgrader with limited budget who cannot afford regular private condo, their only option will be yours. Hence, my tips for all the existing EC owner is that if you have already fulfilled your MOP, do plan your exit ASAP because you only have 2 years to play with. You definitely don't want to wait till new supply come in and compete with you. You see, by 2028, the next batch of new supply will come into the resale market, and by 2029 to 2030, the EC cluster in Tengah, Copen Grand, Altura, Luminous Grand, all of them will be lining up to enter the resale market. By then, your EC will become less attractive to the upgraders because newer and younger options will always be their top priorities. To all the potential sellers, if you want to make a move, do it as soon as possible. Next up, as a buyer and upgrader, what should you do? If you are planning to upgrade from HDB to a resale EC, will you buy now or wait till 2028? A few things here you need to know. The next 2 to 3 years could be a dry year if you are looking for a newly completed move-in ready ECs. Fewer units available, fewer choices, and possibly more urgency for those who cannot wait. Because the upgrading demand will always be there. As families with growing kids, your children enter their teenage stage will need more space and privacy. Your daughter and son will start telling you, they will start demanding they want their own room already. So the needs are more urgent, you simply cannot wait. People will upgrade no matter what. Secondly, at this point, the bank interest rate is hovering around the sub 2%, much lower than it was a few years back, and we expect the interest rate to fall below the 2% mark in times to come. As we all know, when interest rates are so low, it makes no sense to put your money in the bank. So most people in Singapore, they will shift their money from fixed deposit to the property investment. So when demand remains solid plus falling interest rate, but yet the supply is limited, prices will go up. My advice for all the upgraders and buyers out there, if you are thinking to buy or upgrade, you need to plan now with someone who you can trust. Secondly, get your pre-approval and start shortlisting the project that you're eyeing so you can commit when a new listing appears in your radar. By acting early, you still have a chance to get a younger resale EC before prices spike up. You will also have lesser competition from other buyers who starts hunting later because of MOP or other reasons. Should you wait? We all know the upgrading demand is constant and solid. If you wait, the supply will become even tighter. It will become more difficult for you to get a unit. Eventually, it could mean you paying more or settling for older projects because you run out of options. Now, some of you may have this concern. Hey Kaizer, just now you mentioned that there will be a big wave of newly MOP supply coming from 2028 onwards. So if I buy now in 2025, will prices be dropping later when the supply avalanche is here? That's a fair question. Let's address it head on. Yes, you're right. from 2028 onwards, there will be a big batch of EC hitting MOP. In my opinion, prices will not drop, and here's why. Number 1, different buyer segment. In 2025 to 2027, the pent-up demand will already be chasing the limited supply. Like I said, many families with upgrading needs will still transact anyway. When 2028 arrives, the new supply mainly affects buyers who waited, not those who already secured their homes. Number 2, prices softening doesn't mean there will be a crash. Yes, more fresh MOP EC will come onto the market. This will likely stabilize and lead to a slower price go, but not triggering a crash, because upgrading demand is always constant. Upgrading demand will always remain strong during bad times and good times, because resale EC are always priced more attractively than private resale condo, and some of the owners of new MOP EC will just continue to hold a few more years before selling. Now today, if you are a new MOP EC owner, would you sell cheap or fire sale your unit? Number 3, you lock in today's prices. If you wait until 2028, prices could be even higher after the supply drop. Interest rate may change, who knows? You might face even more competition. If you buy in 2025, you lock in the prices early to avoid all this drama. Lastly, it depends on your timeline. If you are buying for own stay, you will likely hold for the next 5 to 10 years. Short-term supply fluctuation don't matter much in your case. However, if you plan to flip after the SSD ends, then timing your exit around the 2028 and 2029 wave is important. Here's the bottom line for all the buyers out there. Buying in 2025 to 2027 means you get more choices, lesser competition, and chances to lock in today's prices before the next surge in demand. Just be clear about your holding period and you'll be in a favorable position. That's it for this video. If you're thinking about selling your EC or upgrading into one, this is your golden window. Hit me up to plan on your next strategy and make sure you don't miss this opportunity. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.